taking a video of us.
We just had a standoff and everything. That's him.
This is our second encounter with police today.
Right now, an investigation is underway in New Mexico at the sprawling property once owned by Jeffrey Epstein.
We know that the FBI received a tip in 2019 that there may have been bodies buried at the ranch. Bodies of girls who were strangulated during fetish sex. This was never investigated, and in fact, when the New Mexico Attorney General wanted to investigate, the federal government said stand down.
And Epstein owned properties all over the United States and in France. All of them were searched during various investigations, save one, his Zorro Ranch in New Mexico.
Why hasn't an investigation been done into New Mexico? That's a little unclear to me.
Several civil suits accuse Epstein of sexually assaulting girls at Zorro Ranch, locally known as the Playboy Ranch.
The fact of the matter was that he was basically doing anything he wanted in this state without any accountability whatsoever. And the ranch is basically on a 2-lane highway in the middle of nowhere that we know very little, if nothing, about.
A new twist in a case involving sex, money, and billionaire investor Jeffrey Epstein.
It was 3 decades ago when financier Jeffrey Epstein purchased land and built a mansion in rural Santa Fe County.
As time went on, the Zorro Ranch estate would become a destination for celebrities, political heavyweights, and royalty. But it was also where girls were sexually assaulted.
Security cameras watching every direction, no trespassing signs, and armed guards.
New Mexico is known as the land of enchantment, but right here, hidden in plain sight, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell built something very different, a house of horrors.
We watched as investigators searched the property.
You can see all the units from the New Mexico Attorney General's office surrounding the mansion down there.
Millions of files already released as part of the Epstein Transparency Act. Secrets being revealed. In one account, another survivor says Epstein fondled her genitals on the ranch and she was only 16. She also said he snuck into the room she was staying in and raped her twice. In another account, Epstein allegedly did and groped a girl while she was giving him a massage. The survivor also just when the abuse allegedly occurred.
Outside of the gates of Jeffrey Epstein's infamous Zorro Ranch near Stanley, New Mexico, hundreds of protesters gathered together demanding justice.
I can't imagine what they had to endure.
Because we are here to say our voices will be heard and we will be heard.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
The real sad part of it is that if that did happen, they have all of the acreage they need to find a place for these bodies. It's a big ranch, dude.
Jeffrey Epstein brought a teenaged victim of his to Mar-a-Lago and introduced that victim to Donald Trump. This is a rapidly developing story. Let's do this. So we all know that Trump is all over the Epstein files. He was best friends with Epstein. He most likely participated in the trafficking. Here's a new photo of Trump found in the files just a day or two ago. But we're going to focus here on this diary entry from a victim. So I'm just going to read this to you. This is EFTA 002768891. She was 14 years old in Florida. Jeffrey Epstein wanted me to spend a lot of time with him, rub my feet while he talked on phone, $200 or $300 in $100 bills, sometimes take me to movies. This girl is basically describing what happened to her as a 14-year-old when Jeffrey Epstein was not only repeatedly molesting her, but also trafficking her in Florida. This victim also mentions Ghislaine Maxwell, says basically down at the bottom pool house, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein there. Epstein took me there by himself, asked me what I want to do, if I want to be an actress or model. He says right there, I'm best friends with the owner of VS or Victoria's Secret. That is Les Wexner. He is the guy who also helped give birth to Epstein's operation. Jeffrey said he's got connections with photographers, told her you're going to have photos taken and don't be prude. And then she asked, what does that mean? And I'm assuming this redacted portion is Epstein telling this victim that she's going to have to be naked and she's going to have to appear in CSAM photos. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. She then says, I felt paralyzed. A photographer may do this in New York. Progressively, it got worse. You need to be comfortable in underwear. I remember the photos taken in New York in a studio by Antoine Verglas. I think that's the name of the photographer. Definitely someone that should be brought in and questioned because she's describing the production of CSAM here. Wearing a tank top felt like relief. And then we get down here. Jeffrey Epstein shows off. These famous friends call and put on a speakerphone. So she's describing Epstein talking to famous individuals on speaker to impress her, I think. And then down here she says she's brought to Mar-a-Lago to meet Donald Trump. Now, Mar-a-Lago is Donald Trump's personal Shangri-La, and we know that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were there all the time. Not only did they recruit victims straight out of Mar-a-Lago, But according to many victims and survivors, Epstein actually threw parties with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Parties involving underage girls, and lots of them. For example, here's Epstein pictured at Mar-a-Lago holding a check signed by Donald Trump, or at least fake signed by him. And just to remind you, the entry in the birthday book that was talking about this photo said, Jeffrey showing early talents with money and women sells fully depreciated blank to Donald Trump for $22,000. Basically joking that Epstein sold a girl to Trump. But then the victim states she was brought to Mar-a-Lago to meet Trump in a dark green car. And according to her, Epstein said, "This is a good one, huh?" to Trump. And he introduced her to Trump as my friend, showing that Trump was very, very involved in all of this, and showing that Trump was interacting with active victims in Epstein's trafficking spree. I mean, this gets worse and worse. The Snow White was fucked twice as soon as she put on her costume. This is a photograph found in the Epstein files. I actually talked about this photograph over a month ago before the newest release of the Epstein files on my YouTube channel, because for a series on there, I was going through every single file released by the DOJ, and this is one of the pictures that I came across that I hadn't seen people talking about. And then recently, with the newest release of files, this email was uncovered, which obviously makes the picture of what I can assume is a victim wearing a Snow White costume so much darker. There was also this email uncovered from Jeffrey Epstein to an unknown person. This person said to Epstein, "Got feedback from auditions, students want to film me, still in Hamptons, miss you." And then Epstein responds, "Brett Ratner is going to film a big movie, Snow White. I would love to take photos of you in a Snow White costume. You can get it from the costume store." So are they referring to this girl, who I'm assuming is probably a victim? I believe this picture was taken in Epstein's mansion after all. Well, it gets even worse. So Maria Farmer is a victim of Jeffrey Epstein's. She actually tried to report Epstein in the 1990s, and it generated a CP report. And she paints. She paints based on her experiences and what she knows about Epstein and his inner circle. And as you can see, in this painting, there is a girl in a Snow White costume. But who is this guy shushing the camera supposed to be, who we can assume is the rapist? Well, allegedly, this represents Jess Staley, who is an absolutely very powerful, very wealthy individual who has been an executive with JP Morgan and Barclays and other companies in the past. You can see in 2023, a lawsuit was filed against Jess Staley, which claimed that he talked about Disney princesses with Epstein. And as of late, Jess Staley has been implicated in even more potential crimes. As this headline states, newly unsealed files claim the banker, Jess Staley, who has denied any wrongdoing, forced a woman to touch his genitals during a massage before raping her. So you can even see on the dollar bills in that painting, JP Morgan Chase, definitely about Jess Staley. So let's connect the dots here. We've got Snow White in bed, Jess Staley in his underwear. We've got an email talking about how someone raped someone after they put on a Snow White costume. Then we've got a news article talking about a lawsuit where Jess Staley is emailing about Disney princesses with Jeffrey Epstein, and then the picture of the Snow White also in the files. To me, this seems like a pretty open and shut case, but I want to remind you, Jess Staley has never faced any prosecution. He's never been arrested. He's never been charged. He's never had to answer for any of these alleged crimes. And to this day, he remains a free man.
This image from the Epstein files is shocking. So as you can see, it's been labeled confidential, which means that there's some sort of secret hidden within this photograph that investigators at the time or authorities thought could compromise somebody or something. If we zoom into the photo, we can see two photos. So this is an infamous photo that you've probably seen many times by now. It is a picture of Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon being a huge MAGA Trump supporter guy and a complete walking hypocrite. But then right here, you have got this little girl. Who is this child? Why is this just a picture of a kid and not of the kid's parents, not of the kid with Epstein? I mean, it's so unbelievably weird. First of all, I mean, just look at how these pictures were kind of laid out and where they were found. But second of all, I mean, I've said this in videos before, but usually if you have a family member, like a young child, maybe it's like your granddaughter or your niece or your nephew, something like that, you usually would put up a picture in your house of yourself with that child, or yourself with your sister and their kid, or whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. However, Epstein loved to cover all of his walls with images of children, without himself or parents anywhere in sight. I mean, take this photo. This is another example I recently talked about. I found this image of Epstein Island, I would have just skipped by it, but I noticed that this was unredacted. I had seen a redacted version of this photo before. As you can see, there are two pictures of, I don't know if this is the same kid or two different children, but they're not pictures of these kids with their parents with Epstein, and that wouldn't make it any better necessarily. I mean, these are pictures that are found in the home of a convicted pedophile sex offender, but they're just solo pictures of children. And to me, that's so incredibly strange. I mean, is that not really weird to you guys? To me, it is very, very, very strange. Now, I would love some help identifying who this kid is. I have a feeling it might be one of the Dubin's children. I could be wrong about that. But, I mean, when you've got Steve Bannon next to a photo of a kid, it's people like Steve Bannon who need to come forward and talk and let us know what they actually know about Epstein. Because clearly, he would have come over to Epstein's house, he would have seen the photo of himself and Epstein, and he probably would have seen, if this was there, this gigantic photo of a very young child. And knowing that Epstein was a pedophile, would he not have asked a question? I mean, these people that were really good friends with Epstein, they had to know more than they've ever let on to about all the different crimes and things that were going on. But for now, I'd love to figure out who this is. And I'd love for this person, whoever they are, to speak up one day and let us know exactly what they know, what they saw, what they encountered, what happened to them. But for now, follow along for more details.
Jeffrey Epstein's titty cake. That's what you're looking at in the photograph that I found in the Epstein files, and I don't know what to make of this. So this is an image found in the Epstein files. You can see the EFTN number bottom left, and it appears to depict a woman serving Jeffrey Epstein a birthday cake, or just a cake in general, shaped like a pair of breasts. And it's very detailed. Now, as you can see here, they are actually serving Epstein the cake. There is a woman on the right that is massaging Epstein's feet. The woman is handing him the cake. And then in the background, I'm not going to zoom in, there are a number of photos. And in one of the photos, there appears to be a child who is doing a bend move, I guess a gymnastics move. I don't know what to call that, a handstand? Sorry, I'm not a gymnast. And yeah, there are so many things that you have to ask when you look at this photo, right? Like, why is Epstein being served a cake in the shape of human breasts? Why is this a normal thing? Who is taking the photograph? There are two women. We don't know if they're perpetrators, victims, survivors. We don't know who they are. And then there's a third person behind the camera. Who is Epstein on the phone with at the time? Why are they surprising him while he's on the phone? Was he holding the phone up as a part of this photo shoot thing? And if you look on the desk, there's actually a piece of paper that appears to be from one of Epstein's custom notepads. Now, I tried to flip it around and blow it up and take a look at what this notepad said, but I couldn't make out any of these words. If you can, please let me know in the comment section. A couple things though. I find it hard to believe that anybody in Epstein's orbit wouldn't have known that he was up to no good. I mean, he was constantly surrounded by sexual stuff. Look at the videos that I've done on the artwork that was at Epstein's homes. There are sexual statues, suggestive photos, nude portraits, nude paintings everywhere, all over the walls of all of Epstein's properties. And in the basement of Zorro Ranch, allegedly, according to reporting, there was an underground strip club, a shower big enough to fit 8 to 10 people, and so much more. And you've even got Epstein being served a cake in the shape of naked female breasts. So clearly, this guy had sex on his mind all the time. Or I guess business on his mind, because he was trafficking all of these young girls and children. But something else disturbing is the fact that he's wearing US Army pants. Now, Epstein was never enlisted in the military, and I've never been able to find a connection between Epstein and the military. And I get it, people have military pants and shirts and whatnot. They support those who they love who are in the armed forces. But this is just another direct visual connection between Jeffrey Epstein and a governmental body. He has been pictured in the past with IDF shirts and stuff, US Army pants, and so much more. And to me, this isn't just a random pair of pants that he owns. But I don't know, what do you guys make of this? What do you make of this cake? Let me know in the comments section below.